Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about how to master kanji and how to learn kanji as a beginner. So, why should you listen to me? Well, I was able to achieve fluency in Japanese within 2 years. And I roughly know about 3,000 kanji. So I've been able to read books like this, like Classroom Elite, read light novels, be able to read hard manga, and I've been able to achieve a very high level of Japanese in 2 years. And usually for the average Japanese person, it takes 12 years to learn all 2,000 Joyo kanji, or at least basically it takes 12 years for a Japanese person to become completely literate, right, and be able to read all kanji. It took me 2 years, right? So what do I know that they don't know, right? And today I'm gonna explain how to learn kanji the most effective way, and basically how I did it. So what you want to do in the beginning when you learn Japanese, right, is kanji is going to be like a bunch of squiggles. Like if you look at kanji without um you have no exposure to Japanese, like you're going to see a kanji and you're going to be like, it's just a bunch of squiggles to you. It doesn't look like anything, right? So what you're going to do in this situation is you're going to make Anki cards. So you can just search up Anki deck RTK recognition. So just look it up. Just like if you go on Anki, you can look it up, find Anki decks that have RTK recognition kanji cards. So basically this is where the card, so basically these are flashcards where the front of the card is kanji and the back is the meaning of the word. So for example, if you're to have the kanji for onna in the front, and then the back would say woman, right? So that's what you would want to do. And this is how you can gradually learn each kanji through brute force. So you can kind of brute force your way through it a little bit. And eventually, once you try to brute force your way, our eyes and our brain can pattern recognize kanji, right? And you'll be able to recognize kanji by just looking at it, right? And that's where we transition from it looking like a bunch of squiggles to it looking like something with meaning, right? That's the goal. So that's the first step, is to basically allow your eyes to kind of tune into how kanji looks like, right? And that's why I recommend you guys use RTK, use like an Anki deck where you're able to just learn the kanji through brute force. And this doesn't take long. This takes literally for me, it took me 2 weeks to a month to do this phase. So this phase should not take long at all. And I would recommend do maybe 20 cards a day, because it's and here's the thing, you don't have to make the cards perfect. Like if you get the cards wrong, it's you don't have to be perfect with it, because it's we're just trying to make sure that these seemingly squiggles of characters need to become recognizable in your brain, right? That's what we're doing here. Now once you do this, then what you can do is this is where the real method starts. And this is basically to read manga and watch anime with subtitles. So what you want to do, guys, is you want to learn kanji in the context of words. Because the problem with just learning kanji by itself, because the typical way to do it in Japanese school, it's so retarded. Even Japanese people are guilty of this. They learn kanji in the most ineffective way possible, right? They basically open a textbook and they see a kanji on there, and then they learn the reading and they learn the meaning of the kanji. And I'm like, dude, that is so retarded. Because it's you can't just learn the meaning of the kanji, because that's not enough. You have to learn the kanji in the context of words, because because what you're trying to, the real meaning, what you really want to learn is the meaning of the word, right? Not the meaning of the kanji. Yes, the kanji is comprised of the words, but or at least the words are comprised of the kanji. But if you just learn the kanji, you're not learning the word. You want to learn the word and just have the kanji be in context of the word. So that's why the next step from that is to just read a ton of manga. And the reason why I recommend manga, guys, is because there's furigana, right? And in the beginning, you're not going to be able to read kanji, right? So what I did was I read One Piece manga, and I remember in the beginning, it was really hard. I was reading very slowly, right? I was reading the One Piece manga very slowly, but I was able to gradually kind of familiarize at least myself with kanji, right? By just reading manga and also by watching anime with subtitles. So watching anime with subtitles is great because you have the audio aid with the kanji in there. So basically the audio could aid you in the subtitles, and that can help you learn the readings of the kanji and learn the kanji through osmosis through watching anime with subtitles. So that's, and when I mean subtitles, I'm talking about Japanese subtitles, right? No English subtitles, but just watch anime with Japanese subtitles, and you're going to be able to learn the kanjis slowly like that. And then on the side, I would recommend to do a little bit of Anki, right? So maybe like 10 cards per day where you just learn words. Do not just put cards where it's just a kanji by itself, like with no context. Like you have to make sure that you learn these kanjis in context, guys. Okay, because that's the most effective way to learn it. Okay, so that's why I'm completely against just learning kanji by itself. Like it does you wonders to learn the kanji in context. Because here's the thing, when you're reading a word like this, right? Like let's take the word jitsuryoku, right? Now the kanji for ryoku, which is the second kanji, this can also mean chikara. So by itself, it's chikara, but in this context of this word, it's read as jitsu. It's read as a ryoku. The reading for this kanji is ryoku, jitsuryoku, right? But this kanji can also be used in different words. It could be used in hakuryoku. It could be used in boryoku, right? So this kanji will appear in many different words, right? And what you want to do is you want to learn these kanjis within each word, right? You don't want to learn them by themselves. You want to learn them in the context of words, right? Which is basically you do by reading manga, right? And when you look up a word let's say you're reading a manga and you look up a word, or like you're watching anime with subtitles and you look up a word, like you're gonna learn the kanji with the word. You want to make sure that you always are learning the kanji within words, because that's all that matters. Like all you need to do in Japanese, guys, is just to learn the words. Once you learn the words, then the kanji will come. You learn the kanji automatically just like that. All right, and that's like my experience. So, and I've been able to reach a very high level of kanji. Like, I know like roughly 3,000, which is more than most natives. Like I know more kanjis than my mom. Even though my mom's a native speaker, I know more obscure kanji than her because I just read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books and I've came across a lot of obscure words. And with those obscure words, I learned the kanji within the words. So like I didn't just like go out of my way to like find these obscure kanjis. The reason why I know these rare kanjis is because I learned them in the context of words. I was just learning obscure words. And by learning all these like hard words as a byproduct, I was able to learn the hard kanji that are very rare, right? I wasn't focusing on the kanji. I was focusing on the words. See, that's the difference. The best way to learn kanji, guys, is in the context of words, which is basically done by just reading a lot. So reading a lot of manga, reading a lot of anime, or the reason why like I recommend you guys start with mangas because that's furigana, right? Because if you read a light novel like this, like you have to have a high enough level of ability to be able to read something like you gotta be semi-fluent to read a light novel, is what I'm saying. Because there's no furigana, right? So I recommend in the beginning at least try to use furigana, try to use manga, right? Because it's gonna help you like put your foot in the door. But once you're comfortable with manga, then you can go over the light novels, right? And kind of test your ability, try to read the kanji and read the words without any aid, right? And that would be the best way to do it. But that this is just rinse and repeat, guys. So basically that's the way to do it. It's so simple, guys. It's just reading. You literally just read manga, books, watch anime with subtitles. This is the best way to learn kanji, guys. And this is the way I learned, and this is the way like everyone should learn it. And I could take a Japanese guy, I can take literally a Japanese kid that literally, and I can make him surpass all of his classmates within like 2 years. Like literally, I can take like a 6-year-old, I can take like a kid that's like only like maybe like 10 years old, and I can just have him read manga, right? And maybe light novels. And I just tell him like to Anki basically words that he doesn't know. So basically, if he doesn't know a word, I'll just tell him to make a flashcard for it in Anki, and just rinse and repeat. And this guy will have a vocabulary that like higher than most natives. Like I guarantee you. And this guy's having fun too, because it's like the way I learned kanji was like very fun. Like it wasn't study at all. Like I was reading manga, I was reading light novels. Like I was having fun, guys. Like when I was learning this, like none of this was like tedious. See, that's the thing you guys need to understand. Like none of this was tedious. Like it didn't feel like studying, even though I was studying, even though I was learning all these kanjis. Like I didn't feel like studying because I was reading, I was immersing. So that's the power of reading, guys. When it comes to learning kanji, is that's just the way that's what I do, and this is the way that I recommend everyone do it. So it's like a process. So the first step is to recognize the kanji, right? So make Anki cards like RTK deck. Use the RTK Anki deck to learn the recognition of the kanji, so you can actually see kanji. And then once you can see kanji for what it is, then start learning words with kanji, and then that will accelerate your progress like crazy.